The most dangerous place for a woman is her own home. The place where, all too often, women experience physical, psychological, and sexual abuse.
It was a nightmare. I was living with a monster. He beat me. He tried to kill me.
1 in 3 women in Germany today has experienced violence. The greatest danger comes from their partner or ex-partner.
Men and violence, you could say they go hand in hand.
Why do we talk so little about gender-based violence, even though it wounds and kills? I set out to find out more. Where does this violence come from? And why do so many people still normalize it? A morning somewhere in Germany. I can't say what city I'm in or show the front of this building. It's a women's shelter, and I need to protect the women and children who are living here. The women have all experienced domestic violence. Alexandra, who has been running the shelter since 2006, tells me what they find when they arrive.
The most important thing we offer is protection, a place of safety and security, a place where they can finally rest. Because violence deeply wounds and destroys your sense of self-worth. Here, the women can begin to rebuild their strength.
At the moment, 6 women and 7 children live here. They come from different countries and backgrounds and every age group. Apart from a few shared tasks, the women look after themselves. They do their own shopping, cooking and laundry. A night's stay costs €20. Cloud, as I call her, shows me the laundry room. She's been here for 1 month. She came to Germany from Turkey at 14 and was forced into marriage. Her husband was twice her age. Cloud has endured every form of violence.
For 20 years, I was trapped in a life I never wanted. I suffered terrible abuse. I wasn't allowed to learn German. I wasn't allowed to have friends or speak to anyone. I lived like a prisoner.
Cloud has 3 children. Through tears, she tells me she always dreamed of singing, but even that was forbidden. Using a translation app, she explains how her husband and in-laws demeaned and verbally abused her, also a form of violence. I read, "They took my underwear to Turkey and handed them out to various men." And humiliating. In Germany, every 4 minutes a woman experiences violence from her partner or ex-partner. In 2023, almost 133,000 women were victims of gender-based violence, and those are only the reported cases. Studies show that 1 in 3 women in Germany has been affected. That's more than 12 million women. In Berlin, I meet Christina Klemm. As a lawyer, she's represented women affected by violence for nearly 30 years. I ask, has violence become part of our society?
Yes, we live in a society where violence is entrenched, a society that constantly normalizes violence, as if it's inevitable that men attack women, as if it's something we simply have to accept.
In Ulm, I meet a perpetrator I call Michael. He wants to remain anonymous. In the past, he repeatedly hit his partner. A year ago, after a violent argument, he called the police himself. I ask him why he turned to violence.
It's hard to say. In that moment, I didn't even realize what I'd done. I felt helpless. I wanted to fix the situation, but nothing worked. So I tried to handle it differently, to force her, to make her calm down using force. I thought a slap in the face might wake her up.
Later, he sought help at a counseling center in Ulm on his own initiative, which is rare. Here, he works through what happened in both group and individual sessions and learns strategies to stop using violence.
We talked last time about where you can go, where you can find people you trust, someone you can just call and say, "Hey, can I come by?"
Wo du weißt, da brauche ich nur einmal kurz anrufen und sagen, ja, hallo, kann ich vorbeikommen?
I'm someone who doesn't like asking for help. You don't like asking for help. But who called the police? Who called the ambulance? That is help.
Mario Starr, a social worker, has been working with perpetrators for 8 years. They're between 18 and 80 years old and come from all walks of life. Violence doesn't discriminate, and it's not just an individual problem, it's a social one.
It starts early. For example, what toys do boys play with? And what toys do girls play with? What ideas of masculinity do children and teens grow up with? Violence and masculinity are still seen as intertwined. I have to prove I'm strong to be a man. And if I'm not, what am I then?
Masculinity is tied to strength and too often to aggression, but that's not all. The case of Gisèle Pellicot is one of the most shocking examples of gender-based violence. For 10 years, she was secretly drugged by her husband, Dominique, who then recruited men online to rape her. He filmed the assaults. 50 perpetrators stood trial alongside him. Half of them had been abused as children. That doesn't excuse their crimes, but illustrates what research has long shown. Experiencing violence in childhood increases the likelihood of becoming violent later in life. Back at the women's shelter, social worker Uli is helping Anna fill out school forms. Anna has lived here for a year. She's considered at high risk. Her husband tried to kill her. He repeatedly threatened to murder her and their children. Through tears, she tells me about the morning he nearly strangled her.
He was incredibly drunk and angry that day. Then everything happened so fast. I remember his hands around my neck. He called me all sorts of ugly names and screamed, "You have to die. You don't respect me. You don't do what I want." I said, "Stop. I can't breathe. Please, I have 2 children."
Beatings and verbal assaults were part of Anna's everyday life, yet she didn't want to leave the relationship.
It was hard to admit that I had a violent husband. I was ashamed to say I was in a toxic relationship. Instead, I even tried to save the marriage because I wanted my kids to have both parents, a mom and a dad.
Uli shows me the playroom. When mothers come here, they leave everything behind, and so do their children, their toys, their friends. They have to keep this new home secret. They can't invite new friends over. In this room, they find protection through play and through learning rules like no means no. Counseling helped Michael face what he'd done, to talk about it openly and confide in others.
Now my whole family knows. I'm definitely not proud of it. But I also don't want them or my friends to have the wrong image of me. Most people see me as someone who's reliable. But I've messed up. Big time.
Experts say Germany still lacks a national strategy to combat gender-based violence. If a woman finds the strength, courage, and financial means, she can find refuge in a shelter like this one. There are currently 7,700 shelter spots in Germany. Under the Istanbul Convention to Combat Violence Against Women, there should be 21,000. There's also a shortage of funding for perpetrator programs. The justice system also has some catching up to do.
Countless cases are still being dropped. Domestic violence is still trivialized. It can take 3 or 4 years to arrive at a final verdict. We need faster trials. We need to stop perpetrators sooner and make it absolutely clear what's happening here will not be tolerated.
Anna finally has good news. She's found an apartment and will leave the shelter soon with her children. She shows us a self-portrait that she painted here.
I want to send a message to all women. Never give up. Fight for your dream and don't lose hope.
Cloud is now learning German and writing a book about her life.
Here in the shelter, I don't have to worry about other people anymore, or be afraid that I might be beaten again. I have my life back.
Cloud has finally found safety and a place where she can sing.